What's up, guys? I have been getting some questions about P. Diddy, and then this Tuah girl came out with this coin yesterday or the day before, and I thought it was kind of perfect time because everything's related. So these are kind of related things like fame, money, scams, danger, opportunity, and I really wanted to lay it out in a way that. Really the Ronin way, because I think a lot of people, what they're going to tell you is avoid scammers, avoid anybody doing this, or they're going to kind of say like, hey, they won't say it, but they'll basically with their actions, they'll say, jump on any kind of trend, right? I think it's a middle ground. I think you want to be open to crazy things. And at the same time, you want to make sure that you have some kind of way of understanding and defending yourself and making really good decisions in a very, very fast-moving environment. So this is very useful. For example, anytime you're in a new career, there's a new technology, anything like crazy like crypto, where things are like so complicated, so fast, and you're not sure who to trust, you're not sure where to go, your instinct will either be one of the two things I said in the beginning, either going to be avoid it all, which unfortunately makes you, tend to miss the opportunity, right? And then the other one is to jump in and not really have a plan. So my goal here is to give you a plan, right? Using my experiences in crazy situations. So I want to start with the P. Diddy one. So what happened with the P. Diddy one? Or let me give you some overall stuff. One of the things that the reason why, people wonder, why don't you jump on the bandwagon of hating billionaires and all that, right? Why don't you, that's easy to do, right? People always tell me, you should hate these guys and this and that. The reason why is because of what I'm going to explain here. So when you get opportunities that you've never had, that's when you find out who you really are. And until you're faced with the real opportunity in front of you, you don't really know where your values lie on that issue. You might know your values on a lot of other issues that you've been confronted with, but until it's in your face. And one of the things I don't like is when people are judging everybody based on things they've never been confronted with, and they're coming up with very brutal fucking, analysis, right? But at the same time, they've never faced it. They've never had whatever that opportunity is. Okay, if you've had it, and so what happens with P. Diddy? How did that thing work? It's pretty simple. Okay, so what happened was he became a very powerful insider in the entertainment business. Okay, now everybody who wants to be in the entertainment business knows that it is a network. It's a small clique of people. You can't get any help from somebody outside the network. It's only the guys inside that know and can help you. They have the friends, they have the connections, they have the understanding, they have the tools, they live in the right place. So naturally, everybody, that's why you always, when I was growing up, there were so many hot girls that were waitresses in Hollywood, because it's crazy, because every girl was interested in being an actress. Or I shouldn't say every girl, but it was quite common. Like, it was a good option for a pretty girl. It's like, hey, I can be an actress. I'll have all these large opportunities. Obviously, entertainment is like it or hate it. Entertainment is very attractive. Okay, like we all want an easy, good life. Like, basically, we'll if we're forced to be like a farmer on the dirt, digging holes and stuff, we'll do it, and in the end, we'll say, "Oh, that was a great life." But honestly, if there's an option to work in an office, programming for 1,500 times the money per hour, we'll probably take it, right? Okay, so we do things that are in our interest, right? And entertainment is one of the most attractive industries, either being a rapper, being a singer, being in the movies, being on TV, owning a TV channel, being a director, being a manager of the stars. There's a lot of different layers of this whole thing. But basically, everybody wants to be a star, and if they can't be a star, then they take these other roles. And if they are a star, they might eventually realize that power is the real thing they want, and they're going to be a director. Or they're going to either start a studio or purchase a studio or whatever. Right? You can see the pattern. Right? They get started as a star, they get opportunities, and they realize, oh, acting in movies is great. I make $10 million a movie, but there's more. There's the guys planning the whole thing, hiring everybody, making the money behind the scene, taking the risk, getting the investment, making those statements in society, right? Making those powerful movies that change history, right? So they're like, ooh, I want to do that next. And that's what happens. Guys like, what was the guy who played Richie Cunningham? I can't remember his name. Tom Hanks, they start as actors and they end up going down a different road. And they also act too, right? Because that's always a good opportunity, right? So what does that have to do with P. Diddy? Well, basically, you have a bunch of people, okay, who want to be in this industry. That's important. Huge pool of people, okay? And when I say want, like they really want, okay? So there's this deep emotional desire. And don't we all have that? I mean, wouldn't you like to suddenly be a movie star and you're driving down Hollywood Boulevard and you see your face on like the latest movie and you look in the bank account, there's $10 million and there's girls trying to fuck you on every street corner, right? Clamoring at your hotel, and new movie opportunities showing up right and left. You could travel to Haiti for this new movie. You could meet these other people, now all of a sudden you got opportunities to leverage that, right? Like I was saying. So it is very attractive, okay? So you got to beware of these people that always put down successful people because they're just envious. And we could all be that. I'm not saying they or them and we are this. I'm just saying like we can all be envious and put down people for a second until we think about it. And that's a lot of what this channel is about, is realizing, okay, what would I do? You don't have to tell anybody. We just think, what would I do, right? Would I want to be like Brad Pitt? Would I want to be George Clooney? Of course you would. Most guys would, right? You can quit next movie, right? Take your $10 million and, come back to Thailand and eat at Terminal 21. You can do whatever you want, right? And you also have all kinds of new opportunities. Okay, so what does that have to do with P. Diddy? Well, there's always been young people going to Hollywood trying to get in the industry. They tend to be attractive. Young people don't have experience. So by definition, young people are naive, right? We all are naive on certain issues, right? And then we learn, oh, that's dangerous, that's safe. We get wise, right, over time. So young people tend to be naive. They go to Hollywood. And kind of a best case scenario is they go in there, they meet, they get a role, they try out, they do 1,000 million tryouts. They finally get a role, like maybe a extra in some movie, and then they bump into a star, and then they hit it off. They start a romance with them, or the person sees talent in them and hires them. That can happen, especially in the old days. But these days is less and less. In the old days, if you just made friends with a director and they wanted to make you a star, they just made you a star. You didn't even have to be beautiful. Like, it was amazing, like the Metro Goldwyn Mayer age, the Louis B. Mayer age. I mean, it was crazy how much power the directors had in the studios. It was incredible. They could ruin you or they could make you, right? And so whenever there's a new genre, you get a little bit of that Louis Mayer time coming back. And that's kind of what happened with rap. So rap music took over. And now, like, a lot of pop music has either some kind of rap connection or, so basically why that's important is because it's not because of the type of music. It's just because it was a new genre that the old guys couldn't do. Okay. Kind of like when the talkie movies came in, and then they had people that were actors, famous actors, and then they were acting in the movies before there was sound. And then they never made it to the sound. So it was all new people. So you had all these new opportunities. With rap, all of a sudden you had what tended to be African Americans running the place, right? So you had new people with no experience in the music industry, the movie industry, and people coming in. And that's I love the movie Straight Outta Compton. You know, it's like about that era, which was my era, right? So I think that era is so interesting. But you had essentially brand new people come in and just take over from this old guard. And it affected not just music, but movies and TV and clothing brands. And I mean, it was amazing. Like, the amount of money made off rap was crazy. Okay, so then you're going to have a Louis B. Mayer type guy. That was basically P. Diddy, right? He was the guy. There was other guys who could have been that. Like Eazy could have been that before he died of AIDS. Could have been, Snoop could have been that. Could have been, there was quite a few guys that it could have been, right? But it didn't happen. Like, Suge Knight, he could have been him, but then he basically broke too many laws, went to jail. So there was these guys, they fought it out. One guy won. It was basically a very surprising guy, P. Diddy. I didn't realize. I like to keep up on this stuff because I grew up around there, right? Southern California, but I didn't really realize how powerful P. Diddy was. I kind of had my eye off the ball a bit. I like to know what's going on, right? But P. Diddy was like super important in the industry. So basically, anybody was anything wanted to be near him. Okay, they wanted to know him, right? Why? He was investing, producing, making, everything he did. Basically, he was King Midas. Everything he touched turned to gold. And that leads to power, especially in an industry with a vacuum. And as I said before, whenever there's a new genre, like a totally new genre, and in this case, it was an absolutely new genre. Nobody from the 60s made a big career in rap. You know what I mean? And no disco guys became big in rap. Like, it was just like cleaning out of the old and in with the new completely. No rock stars. The closest thing was Aerosmith with the crossover Walk This Way with who was that did it with them? I can't remember. But one of the guys who was in the very beginning of rap kind of did a song together, and then they got something right. But basically, it was like, just tear down the old, build the new. So P. Diddy's in there, and he's making his alliances, he's making his thing, he's getting more power. And again, like I said, like, everybody who doesn't have power doesn't know what they would do once they have power. So everybody thinks, oh, I would be a great guy. Don't think that, because you don't know what you would do unless you've been there. Now, some guys on this channel actually have been there and have done stuff, had real power. And the complications. And I'm talking to you guys, the very few who have. That maybe you chose the right thing. You can look back and be proud of it. But you also know how fucking tempting it was, right? It's more that it's like how easy it would have been. And you also know you might have chosen the right way for the wrong reason even, Like, and you might even regret it. That's the funny thing. You might have chosen the right route and then regret it because you kind of wish you would have been super rich and famous, right? So anyway, human desires and what do you call it? Human nature, I don't know, is very complicated. You need to know yourself. That's why I make long videos. You need to know yourself. And this way, you can look at other people without hatred because you can see, oh, I would have done that. Right? I think that's a big step for young guys is to realize, oh, shit. You know what I mean? If I would have had that, I would have fucking done that. because you're now thinking like, okay, if I was that famous person or powerful person, like I would have that would have been too tempting for me, right? We've all got things we're tempted about and we've all got things we're not tempted about and they're different, right? But anyway, Hollywood is all about preying on those weaknesses. It is a very complicated place. Believe it or not, I have a lot of experience with Hollywood. One of my biggest clients was a large Hollywood studio in China. I may as well tell you the name, DreamWorks Animation. We helped them to come to China, and my company. And it was a very, we met through that introduction of a friend of mine, very top level people. You know, we were helping like top level Hollywood, Jeffrey Katzenberg, guys like that. So what happened through that? What did I learn through that? I already knew a lot, actually, because when I was young, I was a fucking good looking kid, and people tried to get me into the movies and acting and also modeling. So I had a taste of what it's like to be the young, good looking guy. And I could do a whole video about that sometime. But I'm kind of waiting because his daughter's still alive. But I would rather wait on that one. But I do have a very powerful story, actually, of my own experience. And what I learned through that experience, which I'm not going to explain right now, but I will tell you what I learned from that. What I learned from that is, one, that even if you chose the right road, you always regret it a little bit. Because I think I could have been a star, right? And been wealthy and powerful in that industry. And believe me, when you grew up in a trailer park, it is very tempting to want to be powerful. I don't feel that anymore at my age now. But when I was in my 20s, man, I felt that. In my 20s, that's I got to remember where I was at the time. In my 20s, I just felt like my life was unfair. I mean, you guys know a little bit about my background. There was a lot of violence around the house. I grew up in a trailer. I felt like life was against me when I was young. And it was, it was fucking tough. I mean, definitely. I wasn't, growing up in war in Ethiopia or anything, but it was fucking not easy. It almost drove me into being a career criminal or, dying or going to jail. Like very easily could have. Other guys with that kind of pressure would have. I'll tell you that. But okay, so what did I learn from it? What I learned is a lot of things. One is that we all are whores, okay? I was telling a friend of mine, and this discussion is tough. Like even your own mind might be, you might be saying, no, not me, I'm not, right now. But if you really think about it, it takes time to break your own pride down. It's really tough. This discussion is very difficult because it requires a true internal honesty and also essentially imagination, because you have to imagine where you would be if you were there, right? And which is really tough because you don't feel it. You're not there. But if you do it, you will know. You will know where you stand. And that changes over time. So anyway, in my 20s, I felt that life was fucked. Okay, everybody was against me. Like it wasn't fair. Life was not fair. And I felt like a lot of people, like a lot of rich kids around me, had an easy life. I remember one of my high school friends, he had a BMW 2002. Like it was the coolest color and the coolest color interior. Sunroof, everything. His dad bought it for him. And, I had a CT70, like a noodle delivery bike, I used to drive to school that I bought with my own money. And I had another bike, got stolen, right? And then I had this bike, which was total dork bike. If you look at what year was it? Let's see. Probably a 1980 or 81 Honda CT70. You'll see yellow, what I had. But I knew it was reliable. Because we had no money, so I thought, well, fuck, this thing gets 110 miles a gallon. I can go, this thing's a tank. It never breaks down. I knew that. Now I'm kind of proud of myself for making a very solid decision there. But, and the funny thing was, and this is really funny actually, because it was a total dorky bike and everybody made fun of me at school because everybody else tried to get a cool bike. And what happened was another guy, who's a very cool guy, like super good looking guy, who's a great surfer, actually. This guy, my friend, he still surfs like massive waves. He's the guy charges. And he bought one. And then, and the guy's like, he's so fucking insanely good looking. It's crazy, right? And so the girls just fucking love this guy. He's well, but this guy's a total porn star, right? So anyway, he bought one. He had a red one. I had a yellow one. And then all the surfers started buying them in my school. My brother bought one. My best friend bought one. My other friend bought it. It's just like, I started a trend because I didn't back down. I was like, I love this thing. This thing's fucking great. It's awesome. Fuck you. I'm cool enough to drive this thing. Basically, I didn't know I was that cool yet. But I was. I was cool enough to make that bike popular in my school. So anyway, but that's the thing. You can kind of work through these things, right? So anyway, I worked through this one. And so now, where was I going? Where was I going with that? Where the fuck was I going with that? Let me think here. I started thinking about high school, and that time, Anyway, it was a fun time. I had good friends. I'm still friends with these guys. Like, they're fucking awesome.
Yeah, the world was against you.
Yeah, the world was against me, right?
So fame,
fame was super exciting for me because you guys got to understand, like, if you're younger, there's no way to go back in time. There's no way to see the past. You just can't. You can look at pictures, but you don't feel it. Okay, you don't understand the dynamics, and just like I don't understand the dynamics of times before me, right? Like I don't understand the '60s, right? But anyway, so back then, a movie star, like a real, it's called an A-lister. An A-lister could do whatever they wanted. Like literally, you could take like some extra, and there's a million examples where, people basically got taken out, by A-listers. Like the cops would let you go. Like you could get away with anything in Hollywood. You brought in so much money to that city that the cops just, whatever you did was fine. Like you could get away with anything if you're an A-lister, and it's hard to be a fucking A-lister, because an A-lister is a celebrity who is the most in demand at the time, and it changes. There's very few A-listers. I think in history there's only been like 15, like real A-listers. But if you're an A-lister, man, you were the man. I mean, it was just like whatever you fucking wanted. Like you just got any kind of sex, any kind of girls, any kind of opportunity to travel. I mean, like there was insane opportunities, like because there was no internet. So everything was either music or movies, right? And if you were like the top of the movies, it was crazy. Like I was just reading. I was in Japan just before I left, and I mean just a little story. But I went to a town called Kawazu, and they have I didn't know this. Kawazu is like basically basically a shithole, right? But there's a nice hotel in Kawazu, a really nice hotel, an old one. And we went there after we were in the water, after we were body surfing, and had dinner and stuff. And then I went to, they have like plaques they have stories of the hotel. And it turns out that like Marilyn Monroe had been there. Like all these actresses had been to this hotel. And it made me realize, I had the same experience when I was in China, when I was at the Astor Hotel. I was at the Astor Hotel, and they have all the plaques, and they show the picture of all the presidents that stayed there. And the Astor Hotel, the building, was the first one in Shanghai to have electricity in China. It was the first building. So they had the first electric lights. It became like, it has so much history, that building. If you go to Shanghai, you definitely got to go to the Astor Hotel. It's got a new name. It's called the Pujang now. It's on the Bund. But if we do a summit in Shanghai, we'll definitely go there. You can go there for free, just walk around. But so anyway, whenever I read those plaques, I was like, wait, these people are not travelers. Like in the old days, it took 3 weeks to go across the ocean on the boat. Traveling then was crazy, right? Like the doors are open for you. Like as a top level actress or actor, man, you could go, and this was all kind of kept secret, right? Not only did they have like all the money and fame in Hollywood, they owned the world back then in the 20s and 30s. Like back then, they fucking owned the world. They could get away with anything, anywhere. Like the government would just want you to do. They would not want to have any bad like press about a certain. And I know a lot of stories I'm not going to say because I don't want to get sued. But like, there's a lot of things that happened because top level A-listers and powerful people abroad got away with just anything, right? And it was with a smile too. It was just like, thank you very much. See you later. Well, don't worry, won't have any problems. It was just crazy. And so I wasn't stupid. I knew. I grew up near Hollywood. I knew how powerful people were back then. So when I actually did get the opportunity, that I think, and I'll tell you the whole story sometime. It really is worthy of its own video. I believe I was in line to get a very good opportunity in Hollywood. Now, whether I would have had the talent to go up to A-lister, probably not. I don't know. But I could have been like in like top movies, right? And I have very good reason for that. Like very good reason for my logic. Not because of me, it's because of the person that tried to bring me in. He was a manager of top level people. And he thought I was going to be the next big thing. He wanted to make me. So anyway, I thought about it. And at first I'm like, nah, I don't want to be that. Because I had low self-esteem growing up, I thought, I can't do that. And then I think one day he said to me, he says, imagine. He says, driving down Hollywood Boulevard, and there's that billboard of your face. And that one hit me. Fuck, that one hit me. Because I thought of all the fuckers that tried to take me down. You know what I mean? All the fuckers made fun of me for being from Arizona, in California. Because I was from like a total, like a nothing place. And there was people who really made me feel small for that. There was people who they wouldn't bully me because I was a good fighter, but I got bullied in other ways, like just mentally, like people just fucking doing shit. And so I had some anger. I definitely was like, fuck this shit, I'm never accepted in California. As a kid, it's like times change, right? But back then, and I was like, I thought, fuck, it wasn't that I wanted to be a star. I just thought, yeah, fuck all those guys. They're going to see my fucking picture and then they're going to come to me and fuck them, right? Or I want to be, I want this thing, right? So anyway, that was my weakness. My weakness is that I had this, emotion that I'm talking about, whatever it's called. And I was just like, I want to be somebody, and if I could be somebody like overnight, very visual, like, that was tempting. And I turned it down and kept traveling. This whole thing happened in 1989. And I've since talked to some of the people involved, and it was very, very real. So anyway, I turned it down. And I don't know why I turned it down. I know I could give you the reasons. Part of it is I wanted to keep traveling. I was having so much fun. I was like, fuck success. This is awesome. Part of it was I'm not sure, is this thing real? There was a little doubt. There was also, I just felt like, fuck, am I good looking enough to do this? Like, maybe I'm a fraud. They're going to find out, that I'm, ugly, I just all these crazy doubts. I had those. What else? Well, there was a big thing that I'll talk about when I talk about the whole thing. And that was the main reason why I turned it down. But there was a lot of issues. But I remember that billboard idea really had me going, man. Woo! It was like one swing of the bat changes my whole life. And I thought, that's a beautiful thing, that I can buy a house in Hollywood. Like, I can really fucking be something, a visible something, right? Because that's a lot more than like making money. Like, I know a lot of people around me got rich, but there's something about being rich and a Hollywood star back then that was just, I can see why people were so starstruck. Because even if you weren't like a starstruck kind of guy, like I was not, it still affected you if you were smart enough to be there and understand what was actually on offer, right? It was like, and the guy told me, he said, like, you will fuck so many girls. Like, says it's going to be crazy, because he knew I wanted to fuck girls on this travel, right? And he's like, you are not going to have enough time. You're not going to, I don't want the words he used, but something like, you're not going to be able to eat enough protein to fucking be able to come out all these, like, it's going to be insane. So don't worry about that part. And, but I guess I couldn't quite picture that. I was like, I couldn't quite see myself as, I was still young, I hadn't been to, I had still pretty young. I thought, like, I don't know, man, maybe they'll figure me out. Maybe I won't be good enough, maybe there was like doubts, I had doubts. And so anyway, I turned it down. And it was a big fucking thing in my life, okay? I had a real opportunity to do something that is very, powerful for me. And I said no. And that kind of set my personality. It became easier for me to say no to big opportunities after that. When I had opportunities, I was like, I would really think about them. Now, I'm not saying it's good, but it is a skill. To be able to say no to opportunities is a skill. And I think it's an important skill. And it's going to tie into this whole story. Okay, so that with the P. Diddy thing. Okay, so now I can see it from both perspectives. I can see it from the actors, like the starting people that just got to Hollywood. I can see it from the actors. I can see it from P. Diddy's perspective. Because the guy that was dealing with me is like kind of the P. Diddy kind of guy. So I knew people like that. And I could see everything. What was the thing? Here's the thing. Here's the fucking thing. Is we all want to blame everybody for our problems. Okay, everybody wants the guy who started World War II. They want to put that one guy's name on it. Nobody wants to say, wait a second. What about the average guy that supported this? You know, what about the guy who made the road to go to the camp? What about the guy who fixed the truck after he knew what was in the truck? What about the politician? What about the companies? What about the mother who knew what her son was doing? What about... But see, society doesn't... They don't want to do that. They prefer just like, you get one guy, he gets blamed for everything, everybody gets off the hook, and it's all swept under the rug. Society prefers things like that. But as an intelligent man, you can allow yourself to get off the hook if you can on something, right? That's fine. But you still have to know the truth. Is there was evil in you that brought you down that road. If you don't learn yourself, it's a big missed opportunity, because in life we have a few opportunities to see ourselves. And by seeing ourselves, I don't mean seeing the good things. I mean seeing ourselves, right? So when you know yourself and accept yourself, you have a lot of power over your future decisions, rather than a lot of like blind spots and weaknesses and lies, right? So you become more powerful. Not in the society sense. In the society sense, I would have been way more powerful if I gave in. But in the self, and you got to decide if this is worth anything to you. But like the self-confidence thing. Part of the reason why I have so much confidence is because I know myself. And I've been through these opportunities, and I went through these struggles, and then I learned the lessons afterwards. Okay, so just kind of throw in things in here. So I was starting to talk. I was telling you at the beginning, it's hard for you to get honest. I was with a friend a few weeks ago, and we were going to eat, and I started to talk about this stuff, how tempting it was to bend your morals. And he was like, he's a good friend of mine. He's really smart. And he was visiting, right? And he goes, yeah, not me, basically, right? And then I started to get into the details of how we whore ourselves out in small ways. And then he goes, oh yeah. He goes, it was almost like he had this fake mask. And then the mask just came off, because he's a cool guy. It's not easy. So anyway, he goes, okay, let me tell you. He goes, so this guy is a doctor, right? And he told me, he goes, because I said, we're all whores in a way. Like, we'll whore ourselves out for some things and not for others, right? Basically. And you got to know what you're going to whore yourself out for. What are you getting into? So he goes, okay. He goes, all right. He goes, yeah, when I was a new doctor, he was interning or whatever. He told me in his office, there was kind of a system. The guy is very smart, so he figured out the system. So here's the system. The system is that nurses become very powerful over time in hospitals. Okay? They can make or break your career. They can send you to the top by a recommendation, or they can keep you down where you end up in like a crime-filled area, doing middle of the night stuff. And they have power. You can still build your career, but if the nurses are on your side and good respected nurses, you're gonna go to that good hospital with the good position. And that changes your whole life. So he told me, he goes, there was these old ladies in the office that were nurses, and I sucked up to them. He goes, like they would talk like sexual banter to me. He's like, I never fucked them, but he goes, I would suck up to them. So they would say something sexual, and I would hint, So he told me he would, hint. I don't know what he said, but I'm sure it was stuff like, just things that a man can talk about that make a girl like satisfy that itch. If you ever work with older women, it's an art, is being able to satisfy that itch. I'm quite good at that, actually. I think it's not I don't think it's selling out to like give an older lady like this kind of sexual jolt, I think it's kind of a service in some ways, They feel a lot of happy, when you say something kind of a little dirty that makes them like excited, and then they're like say something else, and then you kind of like you're very cool about it. You don't like go too far. You just kind of get them all worked up, they're going home to their dildo, right? And so that's what he did. And so then the top nurse wrote him a review, and he ended up getting out of this kind of dangerous area where it was like a lot of illegal aliens and low-level, middle of the night stuff to a sweet hospital, right? And he told me that made all the difference in his career, and forever in his career, because now he started at the good hospital, and society is like that. They're like, oh, he's a winner. Okay, so he's going to winner places, right? And then the other one, they don't know why you're a loser, but you're a loser. So he's a loser doctor, right? Now, as a normal person, you would just think every doctor is the same, but it's not. It's a very big difference. There's big chasms. He explained a lot to me. I've known him for a long time. He's very careful about opening up, this guy. So this is like gold information, because I never heard this before. It was a really beautiful thing. I'm very grateful that he told me. I like to learn truths from people. You know what I mean? It's just so valuable to your own calculation. And then I was like, yeah, like we all do these things, but how far will you go? Like, what is your line? If you say I don't have a line, I won't do any of that, or my line is nothing, I don't know. Maybe it is. But I personally think that there's a mental illness level where you're just like, maybe it's like a brainwashed by religion or something. You're not making a decision based on reality, right? Like, we all have to make decisions about stuff like this, right? And just accept it. Like, but know yourself. So by listening to other people's stories, you will be in a position where you will be able to properly decide. And he told me too. He said once he started flirting with the old lady, the old gay nurses started to do stuff. And it was very uncomfortable for him. And he ended up having to move hospitals because he didn't want to play along with that one. Or he felt like if he did play along with that one, it was become a physical thing too. He wasn't interested in that. He felt like it wasn't the same, I guess. And we're just talking about people here. So these are different people, right? So they had different motives, and they were obviously in a different environment. But he felt that those two guys were different than the lady. The lady was harmless. Maybe she was older, and the guys were younger. I don't know. But anyway, he decided where his thing was, and then he took that reference and got the fuck out of there and moved to a better hospital out of the way of that. And then once he was a kind of an established doctor, then he didn't have these many challenges. You didn't have as many opportunities. There wasn't as much temptation to whore yourself out, right? And there's a point in your life when there's no temptation almost, right? Very little, right? But especially when you're young, you need to understand this stuff. Because don't be embarrassed. Everybody does it. Everybody whores himself out at some level. They smile at the old lady who they know buys cookies from them. I mean, kids do it, right? You know what I mean? Because they want to get an extra cookie or whatever. Like, we all kind of like decide where that line is and what's, what we're going to kind of do, right? So anyway, well, here's the problem is everybody makes decisions that are a little murky, right? I'm not saying they're not, I mean, I'm just calling it what it is, right? They're not something you would choose right away to flirt with an old, you know what I mean? Like, that's not like, hey man, let's go fucking turn on some old lady, like you're like, I'd rather go, play handball or surf or whatever, So anyway, P. Diddy. How does this line go with this guy? With him, it's very complicated because I keep up on P. Diddy, by the way. I've been watching videos since the beginning. I thought this was a big deal last summer when we were in Japan. I was telling somebody, and a lot of people didn't think it was a big deal. I've been watching videos, and I've been analyzing and thinking about making an episode like this. So I've been kind of calculating because a lot of the information is still not public. So that's the danger in me making this video now. I will tell you now, it's whatever date is, December, what is it, like 9th or something? 2024. So I know, what is it? 8th. Yeah, it's December 8th. So I have a limited knowledge. There's, I think his attorney just quit. Or that's what everybody's saying. I haven't seen definitive proof of that, but it sounds like he might have quit like 2 days ago. And his son has been served with a summons, I think, for an act on a boat, on a yacht. So there's things that are not known, a lot of stuff not known. What do I think is actually going on? My take right now is, well, a lot of people don't want to hear this. If people could have sex with unwilling participants, a lot of people would do it. That's why there's a law against it, right? That's why there's a law. Like, a lot of people, they would do it, If they could do it, they would. And the only reason why they don't is because they can't without major punishment, right? Okay? And I'm not saying you're good or bad for what you would do, Like, one of my friends, we had this discussion many years ago, and I asked him, we were talking about being invisible. Like, what would you do? And so, I said, well, I would, probably walk in a bank, walk out with a bunch of gold or something. I don't remember what I said, something like that, right? And he said, well, I would definitely, like, basically his target would be women in the same category I was talking about before. And I was like, no way. He goes, oh, yeah. He goes, oh, that would be so hot. He's like, I would love to do that if I was invisible. Now we're talking theoretical here. But it was interesting because he's my good friend. And he was just saying, oh, yeah. Like, that would be fucking top on his list. And I said to him, I would not. Like, I don't like that. Like, if a girl doesn't want me, I just don't want anything to do with her. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not into it. That's why I don't pay girls. Is because I can't stand being around a girl who doesn't. Like, if a girl doesn't want me, I have no interest in her, It's when they want me, that turns me on. So that motivates me to be good looking and dress well and, be good at pickup and have good at talking and stuff because I want them to want me, right? And so that's why I don't like girls that are pay, and that's why if I was invisible, I would have no interest in that. And also I don't like the feeling of hurting people. Like, it doesn't make me happy. Like, I know there's people that are sadists and they really enjoy it, I'm not blaming any of this stuff. I'm not judging. We all have desire for things, right? And then we all have reality of what we can accept, right? But anyway, depending on what your desire is, right? So my desire is not that. But other guys would be, right? So I realized, okay, it sounds like he's that type. So he would enjoy, you know, it sounds like there's a lot of allegations that there was GHB into the oil. So you'd put it on people and they would basically be essentially your slave, right? And so there was a lot of people that were forced into things either through a drink or oil, right? Totally not knowing what they're getting into. So that part of the P. Diddy thing, if I'm going to comment on different parts, that part is just has to be punished. You cannot allow people to do that, especially on a large scale. Like he did it on such a large scale. These white parties were huge. And it was, of course, the inner white party. I understand all this. But still, like, there was one story from his personal trainer that really made me hate the guy. Because this guy was a normal dude. And these are all allegations, but this one sounded very fucking real to me. Very fucking real. I believe this one, 100%. So the guy got invited to a white party, allegedly, right? And he was given a drink, and the guy, P. Diddy, said, you got to drink this to go to the party or something. And it was his personal trainer. So he liked to overpower people that he knew. So he'd deal with you in the bank, and then he dreamed of, like, overpowering you later. And he did it, sounds like, right? Allegations, right? So his trainer turned him on, this guy, and so then he gave him a drink, and the guy was totally incapacitated. And him and his friends, sounds like, R-word the guy in everything. And the guy now is so fucked up that he's never had a relationship. Like, he can't stay in relationships. He's like a total mess. And it sounded very, and the reason why he went to the party was for a reason that we would all go to the party, is allegedly, P. Diddy said, hey, look, there's a lot of famous people here. You're my trainer, so everybody will want to hire you if you come to the party. So you'll make tons of money. So he naturally said, yeah. And then he said, you got to drink this. I mean, of course, he's going to drink it, right? Just like I remember we'd go to parties and, like, in college, I would just come in the door. They're like, you got to drink this, and my friends would hand me a huge fucking whatever the fuck, and I would drink it, And then, like, I realized that this is kind of the rule tonight. We're all going to drink this. Like, we're all going to be absolutely shit-canned out of our minds together, right? It's like nobody was not drinking it. We all did it, right? So I can understand someone saying that. I could see that being funny even, And I could see drinking it like I did in college, right? They're like, you got to drink this, Or, like, you would have play quarters, the game where you have to drink if you miss or whatever, the guy. And so I played all these games, so I can understand, like, it's very mundane the way this all happened. Guy went to the party. Hey, you got to drink this. He probably said it like, everybody's drinking this. Have a taste. You got to drink this. And then he's like, drinks it. Then he's fuzzy, doesn't understand what's going on. Then he's pushed into a van. And P. Diddy first, and then his friends. And then he's just let out. So he stumbled home. Right? And the guy was never the same. And when I heard that, that really infuriated me. I mean, of course, we'll find out. It sounds like there was a lot of stuff like that. And I have no judgment on the desire to do that, okay? Because you can't really control your desire. You can only control your actions. I would say straight up, it's okay to have that desire. You can have a desire for anything and jerk off, and it's all good. The problem is when you bring it into reality, right? That's where the whole problem is. The religious people always say, no, it's the desire that's the problem. I mean, I agree, the desire is going to be dangerous. For certain desires are very dangerous, but I believe, and I've seen this in my life, that you can't really control these things. But you can get honest with yourself. And you can accept yourself and work on stuff. And you can say, hey, I don't ever want to do this in real life, right? I think everybody's had a desire somebody fucks them over and they want to just, do like a mafia movie, right? So we all have desires, right? But it's a matter of knowing yourself, laughing at yourself. I think lashing yourself is not good. Just say, hey, I had a desire. A lot of people do, whatever. But you can't do it, okay? And that's the problem. So when I heard that, that's what shifted me on this guy. Because before that, I heard about kind of like people trying to get in the industry. And you would be amazed how far people will go to get into the Hollywood rapping industry. Like people, when I tell my whole story, you'll understand what I'm talking about. It is the opportunity is handed to you. And it's a major violation of your ethics. And it's just a question of how much do you want to be a star, right? How much does that desire drive you? And I think, I'm not saying the victims are at fault, but in these complicated interaction between, somebody wants something from somebody else. Somebody else is bored of that because they get that all the time. So they want something more exciting, right? That's what happens when you fuck a lot of chicks or whatever. You get kind of bored with it and you want something more exciting. You want two girls. You want in a car. You want somewhere you can get caught. You want to use lube, whatever. You want to use, you put the girl in handcuffs, whatever. You always are trying to things that are push the boundaries, right? So from P. Diddy's perspective, you got to understand, hot girls throwing themselves at him 2 at a time is totally normal for him. That's like a normal Sunday morning, right? He wakes up, there's a gazillion girls he could just call. And there are even parents, okay, who will sacrifice their own children to be R-worded so that they can get a role. And this is very common, believe it or not. And that's what happened if you watch the Michael Jackson Neverland movie. That's what I believe happened with the kids, especially one. The mother was just starstruck to be around Michael Jackson. She's like, oh yeah, whatever. I'm not going to notice what happens to my son. I'm just going to continue on. And my experience in Hollywood was, I just thought she was the most evil mother ever. Just the most evil. Because she wasn't even going to get a role. She just wanted to be around the fame. I mean, there's levels of evil, okay? And there's levels of payback for doing evil. If you'll do the most evil for the least payback, you're the most evil. That's my calculation. It's like the hot, crazy matrix, right? Will you do this for this? Okay, you're this level. Will you do this for that? Will you do it for that? Will you do it for 50 cents, right? Will you do it for, it's like, what will you fucking do? Will you sacrifice your fucking son for nothing? Unfortunately, the answer is yes. Some people. So, no discussion of P. Diddy is complete without understanding of the people coming to him, his lifestyle, the complex temptation within the minds of humans, and the one mystery part of it is that you don't always know the future. So you might think you're going to get something, you don't get it. And that's one of the big tragedies in Hollywood, is that someone sleeps with somebody or does something they wouldn't do in order to be a star, and it's not true. Or the person didn't have the power to do that. Or they were just lying to them to get them to do something right. And again, that's one level of evil. That's a terrible level of evil, if you ask me. Because there's always people lining up for that one. But you just outright lying to them. And that's what they always warn you about in Hollywood. It's like, when I was young, it's like, you might go there and you might have some offer, but you might not be real, right? Is it real? It's the same calculation that a girl makes when a guy says, I love you, I'm always going to love you, and then he takes her virginity. Like, she has to calculate what he's going to do afterwards, right? That is similar to the calculation of being an actor or actress. You're always making that calculation. Is this person reliable? What are they offering me? Will I get it? Do I want it? What do I have to do? Because they're not going to tell you what you have to do. It's always going to be, this is the other calculation. It's so difficult. They'll give you breadcrumbs. They'll offer you something, and then they'll offer you something. Then you got to do more. Once you do one thing, then you got to do more. That relates to the P. Diddy case, and in a very complicated way, because he took videos of people. So he had them do stuff. He drugged people, and then he had them do stuff, and then he showed them the film. Now they're fully sold out. Just like the MS-13 gang used to have everybody, you got to take someone's life to be a full member, because then you're blackmailable, right? So with P. Diddy, he took the videos, and he very well knew he had everybody. He had everybody blackmailed. This is why my whole product, Unblackmailable, exists. I know all this stuff. I've been through stuff. People have tried to control me, destroy me. And I'm like a moth. I like to fly close to the flame. I like to be in situations where I learn these lessons of life. You know, whether it's racing motorcycles where I could die. A lot of people would say, no, I don't want to do that. Whereas for me, I want to see the very edge of the limit of the tires, the grip, my own balls, my vision, my feel. I want to see the very edge and slide on the edge and then come back. And I'm willing to take the risk of not making it. That's my personality. That's why I have so many lessons, is because somehow I survived until now. God knows how, because I shouldn't have made it. I should not be here. And I love that, because I feel like that tests me as a man. I feel like that's where the juice is. It comes from my childhood. Again, that's another video I'll make in the future. And this is not a fake promise, like a lot of my videos. I'll lose interest in a topic. No, this is a topic I want to talk about, my childhood, how I became what I am. I will do that in the future, but it will be after certain people pass away. It'll be in the future. And then the other one was a deep dive into the Hollywood guy. And again, I got to wait for his daughter to go, because I don't want to. She's nice. I don't want to have any problems with her. Yeah, I don't want to cause her any trouble either. It's not her. She's nothing to do with it. Once she's gone, I feel safe. Anybody else, whatever, you know. But those are like fundamental crux parts of my life. So I will make videos on those. Whether I do it on Ronin Man or wherever, I'm going to do that story somewhere. So, okay. So, how many people would be P. Diddy if they could? How many people? A lot. Billionaires. Billionaires are doing stuff, right? And you're like, oh, they're buying all the farmland, they're doing this. If you had all the power, like, what would you do? Would you just not use any of it? You would fucking use it. Of course you would. How would you use it? And what level would you go to? And there needs to be, every fucking guy listening, you need to doubt yourself. Stop thinking you know yourself. You do not know everything about yourself. I do not know everything about myself. You are not 100% sure what you would do. The best you can say is, last time, if you had the opportunity to be a star, last time I did this. You still don't know what you'll do next time in a different complicated scenario and with a little bit different on offer, right? So always doubt yourself. And the reason why I say that is because your brain is maturing and changing, calculations changing. You might have children to support. Like, there could be different factors this time on any decision in your life. So your basic self might not change. It might change. And so if you were young again in that same circumstance, you might make that same decision again. But what about a new one? You need to calculate. That's why you need to be intelligent. Again, that's why I make these long videos, so you think about everything. So you think before it comes. So you want to think and understand what other people go through so that when you get there, you've at least thought about it. It's the same thing with the escaping the burning jet. You've checked out where the fire escape is. You can understand, like, if I can't see, I can feel the seats. It's 5 seats forward and then go right. And then I'm out the door. Right? You've thought in advance. It's not perfect, but at least you took the time to think. What would I do? What would I do to get this or that? Right? And what would I do if I got that? What would I become? Because the idea, here's the stupid idea most people have, is if I got $1 billion, I would be exactly the same. Okay, now, when you see somebody in Thailand, nobody thinks, I would wear the same clothes I wear in Norway. Down jacket, hood, snowshoes. You don't think that. You don't think, oh, if I went to Norway, from Norway to Thailand, I would wear the same clothes because that's who I am. I would always wear those clothes no matter what. Everybody thinks, well, it's hot there. I'm going to change, right? And you understand, oh, last I went to a hot place, I took off the clothes. But somehow with being a billionaire, being powerful, I think a lot of people just don't want to understand their own mind. They're afraid of themselves. You're not evil, okay? That is the fundamental thing. Anybody listen to this, you are not fundamentally evil, okay? It's not possible. Nobody's fundamentally evil. You can make an evil decision and you can do an evil act. But the way you don't do it is by what I'm talking about now. Calculating stuff and being honest with yourself. And then you don't have to commit an evil act, right? So, but you're not evil. Like, there's nothing to be afraid of. Your desire to do evil is not evil. You're not evil for having that desire. You might have the desire, right? Okay, fine. Now, if you work about it, you work through it, and you say, yeah, I have that desire. Maybe you can do it in a video game, or there's things you can do to deal with that, scratch that itch, right? But you don't have to go out doing stuff that's going to end up hurting a lot of people and probably ruining your life. Because that's why we have laws. That's why we have mob justice. There's things to stop you, right? It ain't a free ride to go, out there. Even if you're really smart and you have the desire, doesn't mean you're going to pull it off, right? You might just end up getting a terrible end, right? So be okay with whatever it is that you are. Your complicated desires. And you don't have to tell anybody. But just understand yourself and understand every man you pass today is just like you, a complicated mix of shit. And diamonds, it's just, we all are. So, go to Tuah real quick. Okay, Tuah, this is like the human nature episode. Okay, so I'm not going to try to tie him in. Tuah, she was a regular girl. And I tell you, I didn't make Tuah video. I'll tell you why. And this is not looking back. It was at the time. A, I didn't think she was pretty. B, I didn't think she was particularly interesting. I didn't think what she said was particularly noteworthy. Yet I love memes. So I just didn't think it was that great of a meme. I just thought it was like, you got to Tuah, okay. It's somewhat interesting.
Next meme, yeah.
But it wasn't one of those memes that I watch over and over, like was it Ted and Ned or there's a South Park.
Yeah, South Park, yeah.
The hunting and killing episode.
Thin out their numbers.
Yeah, thin out their numbers. Search that on YouTube. Thin out their numbers. Like, I can watch that 1,000 times and still laugh my ass off, right? So certain memes I love. So I'm not saying I'm not anti-meme. I'm just saying, like, it just wasn't, I didn't think it reached that level of perfect meme, I just thought, okay, she's okay looking. And by the way, I have a weakness for girls like her. Like these kind of plain girls from the Midwest. Like, that's my type. If I'm going to say white girls, it's definitely like Arkansas, Missouri, it's basically corn-fed girls down there. That's definitely my weakness. Like, for sure. Southern Belle. Yeah, exactly. And they love me too. Like, I love them and they love me. It's like it's a match made in heaven, right? So if I was going to say if there is any like Western girls that I do like, would be like college girls down there. It's fucking great. We did a summit down there. It was great. And we'll probably do another one. We should do another Ozark Summit for sure. I think Fox is going to arrange that one. We'll do an Ozark Summit. And after, we're going to go to that fucking campsite. There's a great campsite. $10 a night, fucking rocks. I won't tell you the whole story. It's just great. It's just the best campsite for a million Ronin reasons. You'll love it. Yeah. So she is the type I like. Okay. It's kind of like a cute Japanese girl. Like, I love Japanese, spinners, But even then, it wasn't quite enough. The meme was not, I was like, so anyway, then she had the opportunity to be famous. And I was thinking to myself, is this girl smart enough to really leverage this into a career? And sure enough, she is. She's smart enough to leverage it in a career, into bigger things, right? She now has a huge, channel, podcast. She's got store that sells tons of shirts. Hawk Tuah is like a global phenomenon. Everybody knows it. Like probably the girls down at Soy Cowboy knows Hawk Tuah. I'm sure they do, right? I'm sure they ask them Hawk Tuah tonight. We're just gonna go down there. They'll say, "Oh, Hawk Tuah, you got to spit on that thing." Everybody knows this, right? So anyway, maybe I'll like the meme now better. Who knows? But anyway, so she was smart enough. And then, and here's the problem. Like complication. Right? Number one, with girls, is you meet a girl who's like a sweet girl, corn-fed, sweetheart, small town, right? You meet to talk to a girl before she's famous, right? And you think to yourself, wow, this girl, she's so awesome. This girl's sweet, should be a great wife. But what's the problem with that logic that I've been talking about in this whole episode? What's the problem? You see a sweet girl, she wouldn't do this, she wouldn't do that. What's the problem?
There's something she will do? Or
the problem is she hasn't had the temptation yet.
Oh, she hasn't had the opportunity.
She hasn't had the opportunity.
Yeah.
So you don't know what she would do.
Right. If she's had the opportunity before, and you've seen her choose, then you have the opportunity to
right.
Her.
And even if she's lived in New York, she's had opportunities without even seeing them. You know like a lot about her if she lives in New York or lives in Tokyo. Like what she's confronted and seen and the opportunities she's had. Like I'll give you a perfect example. In Thailand, a lot of girls will get into the night industry, right? It is popular, right? And Las Vegas too, right? I'm not saying anything special here. I mean, Netherlands, right? Brazil, right? But I've noticed that there are some girls here who will work in 7-Eleven and never get in the industry. So there they are in the area where the industry is making girls tons of money every night. And these girls, for whatever reason, family, connections, morals, they just won't do it. They're not secretly doing stuff on the side, because if they did, they'd quit because they make so much money. Some of these girls are making like fucking huge money. Like honestly, a lot of these girls now are making really big money in Thailand. It used to be like $25 and they had to give half to the bar. No, now some of these girls, they own houses in London, they own houses in New York. Like it's not uncommon to see a girl at the bar who owns a house in London. Believe it or not. Way more than you have. A lot of the bar girls here are super rich because they've had guys buy them and they like the excitement of the bar and all that, right? And also they can meet new guys, right? It's a weird thing now. But basically, so let's say I lost my train of thought. But basically, you don't know how she's going to act when she's tested, okay? Right. All you know is in her small town, she obviously drinks. She obviously has had a lot of, some experience, right? Obviously. She's not like a virgin, right? she has her mouth runs. Your mouth runs like a rat. What is it? What's the word?
Yappa, yappa,
Yappa, yappa, yappa. Shut it, please, Clarice. And she doesn't have the best self-control with her mouth. But that's all you know. And then you find out, as soon as she gets this opportunity, now there's the Tuah coin, which went viral like 2 days ago, went up to $488 million, I think, from zero in one day, and crashed down within like a short period of time. And now she is maybe even, facing criminal charges and things like that. Now I want to break that one down for you, because if you don't, okay, so she was approached. So this is a nuanced one. So she became a big YouTuber and a meme. And so she was approached by different people that are good at making money and sharing it. Okay? So in this case, it was like crypto people. And it wasn't just crypto people, it was meme coin people. Meme coin is different than crypto. You know what I mean? It's totally different. Meme coin people are pump and dump. Now, there's nothing wrong with pump and dump if it's just starting, right? Like, you can buy a coin, make a lot of money, and sell it. That's legal. You're allowed to do that. You can make $3 million in a day. There's nothing wrong with that. Now, whether you're going to be able to do that's another story, right? But when you start a coin, of course you can do it because you own the coin. So you get all the insider stuff, right? So she was approached by people. They made a proposition to her that she very likely didn't understand because meme coins are quite complicated, even if you know crypto. And everyone's different based on different, there's pulling the rug out, there's all these different terms. So basically, she very likely had no idea what they were doing, but they used her face. I would say she knew a couple things probably. She probably knew she was going to make a lot of money. She probably knew this wasn't going to be a long-term investment. She probably didn't ask her parents to invest. She probably thought it was going to be fun. She probably thought that not that many people would really get hurt. And she probably thought that she wouldn't go to jail. I would say that's pretty safe. Anyway, with those assumptions, she got into it. Very likely assumptions. And now it turns out probably not to be true. She probably is in serious trouble, I would guess, Because even CoffeeZilla, who I like his channel, he went crazy on her. Like the guy doesn't go crazy. He was like really pissed. Like I've never seen him get pissed actually. I was like, this guy knows what's up, right? So anyway, the reason why I bring up her so important is because P. Diddy, Tuah, what will you do if you get power? What will you do if you get opportunity? Like, I know what I will do. I'm not launching anything here. I'm not into it. Like I'm just not into it. And I don't, sometimes I think I'm stupid for not doing things, I just don't like to do stuff that I might regret later. I don't like, I guess I'd have to do a deep dive into my own mind on that one to figure out why I don't do that. But I've been offered stuff, even on Ronin Man, all kinds of stuff. People call me, offer me stuff. One guy wanted to invest in Ronin Man and take 30% of Ronin Man. There was like all these different things, right? So I sometimes feel stupid for not jumping on things, and I second guess myself. But one thing I can say, I don't have big regrets. I didn't go hurt my friends, right? I don't have big regrets. Maybe I missed some opportunities here and there that could have been good, for everybody or something, But I haven't. That's why I only sell my own stuff. Like I sell Unblackmailable because I can stand behind that product. Because if it's not getting enough value, I can give more value, right? It's not like a car. Once I sell it, I can't control the car. The car is what it is, right? Whereas my own advice, I can help I can like even years later do something to make it more valuable, right? So I like to sell things that I have influence over. And the problem with many products and stuff is I don't have any influence. You know, like I almost did one for this cellular company I was using that was offering a really good thing. And I was using it for like 2 years. And even that I decided not to do. And I'm kind of glad I didn't do it now because it was Mint Mobile. Yeah, I was using Mint Mobile for a while. And they were offering really sweet things. And I was very tempted to do Mint Mobile because I liked their service and I was using it. But I don't know, somehow in the end, I just don't like it somehow. I just don't, I'm not into it. I could have done AG1, the green powder. And there's guys like literally making, what are they making? Insane money off AG1. AG1's a huge money maker. Fucking insane money. Yeah, money. Because people buy it for life. I don't want to say names, but there's that guy who's like a doctor. He's like talking about, he's everywhere. His name starts with AH, right? His first name and last name. Anyway, he's out there promoting it, even though he knows. I did my research in AG1. I almost did AG1 too, because I was like, oh, health. That's great, you know. And then I traced it back, and it started with a guy from New Zealand who was running away from a real estate, very sketchy situation. Came to America, started it. You know, I was like, this kind of guy, I don't want to be part of that. I don't want to, you know, I just don't want any taste of that. I'm not running away from anything. A lot of people say they go to Thailand because they're running away. I'm not running away from shit. That's why I go home anytime I want. I'm not running away. And that's another unfair meme about people in Thailand. There are scumbags everywhere, you know. But the idea that you're a scumbag because you're in a country is fucking insane. Like, that's just... Let that roll off your duck's back, you know, there on that one. You're here for one reason, and you came here for another reason to run away, and you're here for this other... Fuck these idiots, you know? Live your life. But you will get tainted by certain brushes. So try to get tainted as little as you can, right? And the way I do that is not associating with people. They might be doing something just fine now, but it's not fine for me. I don't want people paying $100 a month for stuff that really isn't good for them or isn't like great for them. Like I want to build my ultimate goal when I die is have a team of great friends from Ronin Man. You know what I mean? That would be like my ultimate, that would be the greatest thing. You know what I mean? Like we all help each other. We're doing stuff. Like that would be a very worthy ending. You know what I mean? That would be like not me sitting there with my meme coin, getting all kinds of, whatever, buying gold pissing horses in my bathroom or something. You know, like my goal would be my goal is basically I don't know if I can reach it, but is to build a huge, powerful network of people that think deeply and are good friends, and we trust each other to do stuff, like that to me is the ultimate. There's a lot of power that comes with that because you get all kinds of opportunities. Everybody knows stuff. Everybody shares stuff. It's it can be very win-win. But I think you have to think your life through about that. Where do you stand? Like, what do you want? Like, would you... Don't spend a lot of time thinking about what you would do because you really don't know. But spend a little bit. And then when you look at someone like P. Diddy, don't immediately think like you would never do... like just think, what is he doing? Okay, he's fucking hot girls. I would do that, but I put baby oil in a hot girl. I think I would, like, yeah, that would be very attractive. Yeah. And, would I like to have like, endless money? Yeah. I wouldn't mind that, endless money, and, anyway, I hope this helps you to, and it's fitting that there's no specific advice at the end of this one because it's this kind of navigating things. Like I think being close to things. Oh yeah, I'll end on this. So when I was in LA, you know those videos I was taking from Hollywood Hills? I was hanging out with a lot of people that were all different types. Some of them were like crypto guys. Some of them were like pickup guys. One of them was a huge legal marijuana guy. There was guys who were... There was one major guy, I don't want to say his name because I don't want to get sued, who was a major, like, I think, scammer, self-help guy who was always around, and his brother. And when I was there, I was staying in a house where these guys were staying, or they would come by for parties. And I talked to them, and I listened to them, and I considered doing stuff. I got the inside scoop from the people doing stuff. Some of them ended up what I do consider scams. Like, I definitely consider scams. And I think they should go to jail. Other guys ended up being really straightforward dudes. Other guys just had fun and moved on to other things. Other guys got into exciting new fields like internet marketing and things that made them money, that was working with different products. It was basically a new career based on the technologies they found through talking to all these guys doing cutting edge stuff, right? Back then, that many years ago, that was pretty cutting edge. Like, it was the digital delivery, it was internet marketing, it was copywriting, it was fame, it was money, it was supplements, it was self-help, it was pickup, it was also the marijuana industry was in there. There's a lot of money from the marijuana scene going back and forth into those things. Like the same people, like there was a lot of stuff. It was very interesting for me. I don't regret 1 minute of meeting those guys. I don't regret talking to them. I don't regret taking pictures with them. I don't regret anything. Just like my motorcycle, I want to learn the edge. And the reason why I want to learn the edge is I believe that's where truth comes. Because usually no one's going to tell you the truth. But you see the truth when they almost get killed in war. Right? That's when you hear the guys, is this guy a pussy? Or, you know what I mean? You find out when just about before he's going to die, you know. You learn about people. Who are you? I want to know who people are and myself at the deepest level. And also, I am interested in new tech. I'm interested in stuff. I don't consider everything a scam off the fucking bat. I'm not like, oh, crypto's a scam. You know, that's what a lot of people used to say, you know. Now they regret not buying it. So you'll see this in your life is people that are too judgmental, too afraid of new things, and they will blanket it in they're good people. But the truth is, they actually have no balls and they're scared of new things. They don't think they're smart enough to understand new things. They're afraid of new people. They don't trust themselves. There's a lot of reasons why people don't do stuff. It's not always because they understand everything and they don't want to do it. There's a fear of the future. There's fear of unknowns. Whereas there's a lot of guys who would prefer to have a job, right? Which is nothing wrong with that, rather than getting involved in some new project. You know, and so I like entrepreneurship. I like cutting edge technology. I like DeFi. I like to meet people that are doing cutting edge shit. I like when I'm talking to friends that they say stuff I don't understand what the fuck they're talking about for a long time, you know. I like that because I know we're learning new things here. We're going somewhere, right? So I personally think, if you want my take, you know, I like that balance of being with people that might end up being scammers and might end up being earth shakers. I like being with them, learning from them, and then I get to the heart of what they're doing, and then I figure it out. In pickup, I got into the heart of pickup, hanging out with the top pickup artists, and I found that one guy just did not have my values. And I really learned a lot about myself through that guy. And did I talk about this guy? He lied about me.